this morning, Dan Rather, and I'm not, maybe it was some other news guy. I didn't recognize him, but Dan Rather, of course, was on CNN talking about now, Dan Rather is, and I like the way he phrases everything. You know, he's like, I'm ambiguous. You know, he understands exactly what's going on. And what's cool about Rather is he says it, but doesn't really say, I'm on to you, a-holes, like we do. But he kind of says it and pushes it out there, and then it gets a little maligned. And it was very interesting to listen to his take on this ISIL.
We will follow them to the gates of hell.
Where do you come down on this?
Well, it depends on the hour of the day. It's a difficult call, but I think we have to see clearly.
This, by the way, is the best performative I've ever heard. Depends on the hour of the day. I mean, whatever you got, we have to see clearly. Go ahead, Dan. Say what you mean.
That this is the first social media war. In the way the Vietnam War was the first television war, this is the first social media war. That ISIS has proved to be very adept, very talented, if you will. You always hope that evil won't be.
They're very talented at tweeting and Facebooking, John. Very talented.
I think he's wrong, because I think these...
I think the point he's making is that the way it's being played now on news as social media is fact and truth, and here's a YouTube video, I think that's what he means.
Yeah, well, he might mean that, but that specific accusation we've been doing for over 2 years.
Hello.
In ratcheting up the hysteria, ratcheting up the image of their influence, far beyond what their actual military capabilities are. We have to understand, the media and the country has to understand, that a lot of this is about the psychology of propaganda. Think about it. 3 beheadings, and by the way, I say in my own mind, are we certain that they've actually beheaded these people?
Oh, I love it. I love Rather. Thank you, Dan.
He's not an idiot.
No, but this is why I like what he's saying. He's slipping that in. No one says, what? What? You question authority? Citizen, what's wrong with you?
But assuming that they have, that 3 beheadings are enough to move American public opinion, change our foreign policy, and take this nation to war.
That's a point that Fareed Zakaria made in our last hour, saying nothing has changed about ISIS except these videos.
This is, to me, the most troublesome part of this. First of all, we should note that nobody has shown the most graphic of pictures, right. At least nobody except the most fringe part of the media.
It's accessible online, but even some websites that usually show this stuff have said they're not going to show it.
But now this is I love this part of the conversation. This guy is saying, oh, no one has shown the really gory parts. No, there are none. There are no gory parts. And then this jabroni, or whatever his name is, from CNN is saying, oh, even some of the websites that normally show all the horrible things saying, we're not going to show it. And I'm just sitting here saying to myself, wow, look how little effort it takes. So little effort. It's the same day. It's a one-day shoot. You get your 4 guys. And maybe they have 10. I don't know. And they do a promo after each one. It's like, hey, grab this guy by the head, and we'll do a promo for the next time. It's the same template. It's the same Final Cut Pro template they're using every time. It takes so little to push for the establishment to take this and run.
But the most important thing is this. If you're asking the intelligence agencies or experts, how big a threat to the United States is ISIS, there's a lot of debate. Can they, do they have power beyond where they've established a physical presence? The pictures seem to tell us something different. It's what I would call emotional knowledge.
Where could Dan Rather take this? I mean, when you talk about propaganda, you talk about...
I don't know, but I would say you could take it by saying this sounds like a crock of crap.
Well, wait for it.
Look, they gruesomely killed 2 Americans and a Briton.
Gruesomely.
And I think what happens is there's a tendency, well, if they...
I think this guy was put in to counterbalance whatever Dan Rather was going to say. That's not what I'm realizing. Like, oh, man, Rather's going to say the truth. Just get over there and shut him up.
Can do that. Then they can sneak across the Mexican border and spread Ebola virus, which at least one public official has said.
Yeah, I'm telling you, so Dan Rather's sitting there telling the truth, saying, I don't even know if we beheaded, this is real beheadings. This guy is saying, They could come across the Mexican border and blow up a dirty Ebola bomb. So this is the two sides. This is a beautiful piece.
And it tends to force, I think, our policymakers.
What?
Who is this guy?
I couldn't get a name. Yeah, I know. We'll find out.
We got to find out who this guy was. He is the worst. He's a total shill, and he shouldn't even be on television. CNN should be ashamed.
Oh, wait until the Rather comes back in. It gets funnier.
Into taking decisions that they might not take absent the emotional punch of those pictures. They tend to maybe say more than what reality lets them say.
And where the media, and I include myself in this criticism, where we're short, we don't talk about context, background, history. We just push the pictures forward. And having said to you before, I'm ambivalent about it. I generally want to err on the side. Listen, my job is to put the information out there.
He's saying, we're just showing pictures. He's saying this is bull crap.
Others decide. But your conscience, when you say let your news conscience be your guide, says, this is really helping other guys. But we have to understand that the shock of the beheadings will begin to fade a little bit as time goes along. And ISIS, smart as they are, and they're very smart with their slick videos, I would argue that they're in the same league in the social media war context as Hitler was in the 1930s in their use of propaganda.
Yeah. Hitler card. Good one, Dan.
Wow.
Good one.
That they'll go to something else for shock value.
This is the largest psychological operation performed in modern day history
against the American public,
against the population of the world, John.
Against the world, you're right.
So we need to be thinking about that.
So are we at the point then where we shouldn't be broadcasting?
It gets better.
Yes, we are at the point where we shouldn't be broadcasting. Hello.
Even still images from these videos.
I don't see how you can put that genie back in the bottle.
And it's a genie, all right.
Back toward the end of the 19th century, William Marcy Tweed, who ran Tammany Hall, was said to have said about Thomas Nast cartoons, "Stop the damn pictures. I don't care what people write, because my constituents can't read, but those damn pictures they understand."
Yeah.
And we can see much of our history, Civil War, Vietnam.
All right, Dan, wrap it up with some more Hitler talk.
Images have had an enormous influence. What I think is useful, or think would be necessary, is to find some kind of, let's call it, social media literacy.
Maybe we need some filters or legislation.
We are able to put these pictures side by side with other arguments. And my big concern, and I saw this in the Iran hostage crisis, we see it over and over again, the visceral images overwhelm the rational abstract analysis.
Go, Dan.
Well, we're going to say something. I think it was a quote from Hitler himself, if not from one on his staff. Who said,
Hitler. Let me just quote from Hitler. Hold on one second.
Those who control the images control the race. This was in the context of the 1930s.
Yeah.
And ISIS understands that those that control the images on social media will control public opinion about this.
Hitler!
That's right, baby. Hitler. But I don't understand. But I thought Putin was Hitler. Who's going to be Hitler now? I mean, is it ISIS?
Anyway.
So we'll have...
it doesn't do any good. I mean, they got rather out of the business. Or they set him up years ago.
Yeah.
He's also a nuisance. But they set him up at CBS with that funny letter that because he didn't have any computer savvy. You didn't realize that you couldn't do that little TH.
Right.
It was just very simple. And they got into a big debate about I remember that period because I had done a fake letter that I sent out there myself. I got some.
Explain what fake letter is.
Yeah, well, what happened was when Rather was the anchor at CBS, and George Bush was, I think, he's still president, and there was a letter that came out talking about George being a crappy airman, and he was just
his record. His
record was no good. We couldn't find. He was just a screw up. And so this letter came out, and then CBS got a hold of it, and they ran with it, and all the media ran with it. The liberal media all ran with it. And then somebody pointed out that on the Dateline, and this letter was dated in the 40s, I believe. In the Dateline, there was it was like September 17th with a TH as not September 17th, but that little bitty TH that shows up above the 7th, so 17th.
So that typography was not possible, and
that typography was not possible because it was an element of Microsoft Word. So
Nice.
so they used a type font that was a typewriter type font, but they had this little TH thing, and everyone, myself included, said this is not it. This is bullcrap. And in fact, I even had I still have it. I have the only typewriter that might do that would be a Selectric or an IBM Executive, which was the really.
But that also was much like that was 70s, wasn't it?
Yes, and neither one of those could do it.
Right.
So it wasn't doable, and so then it became a big scandal, and Rather ended up getting fired over the whole thing. And it was funny to me because I had my liberal friends who were George Bush haters. They were defending this right to it's possible. No, it's not possible for this to exist. It was the most amazing era of denialism.
That's interesting.
That this letter was a fraud. Anyway, all right.
Well, with that, I think we're kind of done. We'll just see what happens. But it is psychological warfare. There's stuff happening, but this, my friends, this is total bogativity. And it's working.
It's a way to spend money.
And I'm pretty sure that most of these jabronis on television, they probably haven't seen the videos either.
No, nobody's seen the videos.
No, they just buy into it.
This is just like that we said it before, I'll say it again. This is like the 911 calls from
Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. Yeah. They were lame and dumb, and we played them on the show. Yeah. Nobody else would play them because it was horrible. No, they weren't horrible. They were just lame. It was just a guy saying, hey, so what are you doing for lunch? It was ridiculous. And this is the way the media operates now, apparently. They don't care because they're given a script. What difference does it make? They do their job. They get paid a good salary. Mm-hmm, yeah. There's no other jobs. If you get fired, you're not going to get another job. So you just read the script and shut up.